Those anti-Trump protests have been going on for 3 nights now in a number of cities. Anna Werner is in Portland, Oregon.
We are here for love. We are not here to spread hate.
What had been a peaceful gathering of more than 4,000 in Portland, Oregon, turned into what police called a riot just after midnight, as protesters smashed windows and threw objects. Police arrested 26 people. Across the country, people of all ages, all races, gathered in cities to protest against the president-elect. From Baltimore,
he's such a dangerous man. He's a dangerous person to have in the White House.
To Milwaukee.
We got to start someplace and do something.
I'm terrified. I'm scared.
And Los Angeles.
I just think he's hateful and misogynist and racist, and I think he's going to gut everything good about this country, everything Obama's done.
America's 50 states may turn to 49 if the Yes California Independence campaign gets its way. The fringe political group is looking to leave the union following Donald Trump's presidential win. As the 6th largest economy in the world, California is more economically powerful than France and has a population larger than Poland. Point by point, California compares and competes with countries, not just the 49 other states, the campaign pointed out as part of a statement. As far-fetched as the movement may seem, it already has the support of major angel investor Shervin Pishavar, who is also offering to bankroll the entire campaign.
One of the groups organising anti-Trump rallies is called Move On. It's calling for action and demonstrations against the president-elect nationwide. However, Move On apparently has ties to billionaire investor George Soros. There's a name to conjure with. That information came to light from the emails leaked by WikiLeaks from Hillary Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta. In the leaked emails, Soros is told about activists who need funding, with the Move On group highlighted. Interesting turn of events. Let's talk live to Marko Gasic, international affairs commentator. Mark, what's the fuss about here? Trump, whether you like him or not, was elected fairly and squarely by the looks of it. Nobody's saying the votes were rigged. Nobody's saying there's anything underhand here. Don't people just simply have to accept that that's the way it is? Democracy played out. The majority of the people wanted it. Well, thereabouts. There he is.
Yeah, well, I would certainly agree, Kevin. In essence, what the opponents of Trump now are doing is exactly what they accused him of planning to do if he lost, which is disputing the results of an entirely fair election. It's an election where they've had all the media power and more of the money, and yet they've lost to him and to the voice of those ordinary people in the American shires who are normally ignored and forgotten. So they've spoken up, as in the UK earlier. So it's a kind of almost a tussle now between the Clinton-Soros view, which is that the only democracy that's allowed is a one-party democracy that agrees with what you say, and or rather with what they say. And if that doesn't happen, then they're ready to do a colour revolution to destroy that democracy and that democratic vote.
So you think President Obama should make a statement and say, protesters, stop. You're destroying property. It was a fair election. Donald Trump won. Donald Trump deserves a shot at running the country. Let him do it. What do you think?
Spot on. I'd use those exact words, Liz. And where is his leadership? It isn't there. And so that's what's so disturbing, that he's just watching it fester, just like he did in the Black Lives Matters and all these other issues, the Wall Street crowd that was hanging out. This has really come out of this White House and through George Soros. The left wing of the United States is doing this deliberately, and our president is not saying anything about it.
Some interesting stories. For example, breaking Israel news just came out today with a very interesting article. Sanhedrin asked Putin and Trump to build the third temple in Jerusalem. Now, a lot of people out there know about a lot of the biblical prophecies that have to do with the third temple and what it could possibly mean as far as end-time events? Well, let me give you Isaiah 45:1. It says, "Thus saith Hashem to his anointed, to Cyrus, whose right hand I have holden, to subdue nations before him, and to loose the loins of kings, to open the doors before him, and that the gates may not be shut." It says the nascent Sanhedrin is calling on Russian President Vladimir Putin and U.S. President Donald Trump to join forces and fulfill their biblically mandated roles by rebuilding the Jewish temple in Jerusalem. Rabbi Hillel Weiss, spokesman for the Sanhedrin, contacted Breaking Israel News to announce that the election of Trump, who has promised to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, coupled with Putin expressed the desire for the temple to be rebuilt, prompted the Jewish court to send a letter offering the two the opportunity to act as modern-day Cyrus figures, non-Jewish kings, who recognized the importance of Israel and the temple. Let me stop there. Wow, wouldn't that be interesting if all of a sudden you have a movement underway and perhaps even something that brings about the building of the third temple.
The war in food and medicine into the country.
Trapped in Serbia with few places to go, so they set out on an 80-mile trek to the Croatian frontier, 150 migrants seeking passage towards Western Europe. Frustrated now that surrounding borders have been practically sealed off to them.
Every person pass here 3 months, 4 months, 6 months in the parkings. They don't have some place to live here. They just want to open the border and we go and live here, Serbia, and go to other places.
Police followed the migrants along the highway that connects Belgrade to the border, a 3 or 4 day walk if they only stop for sleep. Of the 1 million or more migrants who made it to Europe by land and sea last year, some 580,000 registered in Serbia at some point. But up to 10,000 still remain, unsure where their journey will take them next.
ما فجر نفسي ما فجر نفسي 4 مطاعين ما يقدرون يمشون بعدهم عايشين ما يقبل نطلع لا
A massive cholera vaccination campaign has begun in hurricane-ravaged Haiti. The country's been struggling with the disease since 2010. It was first brought in accidentally by UN peacekeepers, there in the aftermath of a devastating earthquake. Some 820,000 people are being targeted in this campaign.
Several countries in Europe have reported outbreaks of the highly contagious bird flu strain H5N8. In Austria, the health ministry ordered that all birds on a poultry farm be destroyed this week after a turkey tested positive for the virus. Though it has never been found in humans, H5N8 is particularly virulent in wild birds. Along with Austria, cases in Germany, Switzerland, Hungary and Croatia have all recently been reported. 9,000 turkeys were destroyed in the northern German state of Schleswig-Holstein this week, while the Dutch government has ordered all poultry flocks be kept indoors.
Tonight, a rare bed bug has reappeared in Florida. It's not life-sized here. After a 60-year absence, tropical bed bugs have shown up in Central Florida.
Yeah, News 6 reporter Eric Sandoval explains where it was found and why it has people worried.
I talked to researchers and I found out that these tropical bed bugs were found in furniture a lot like this inside a man's home in Merritt Island. They were pretty much confined to one room, a room his grandson was using.
So I was really just shocked at first.
Bedbug expert Brittany Campbell says Florida hasn't seen a tropical bedbug since the 1930s or 40s. That wasn't until recently. She says a man in Brevard County sent in one of the bed bugs he found in his home to the University of Florida in Gainesville. And it wasn't like any other Campbell had ever seen.
He thinks his grandson had brought them into the home, but we don't know where the grandson had visited. He'd been in several homes before, so we think that they're established in Florida. He hadn't traveled.
Campbell discovered this bed bug had a different kind of neck. The telltale marker, she says, that this was a tropical bed bug. She says they're usually found only in Asia and South America, and the family has no idea how it could have ended up in Merritt Island. She says just like the common bed bug, these tropical bed bugs live off human blood, usually targeting people in their beds or on their furniture. She says they don't belong here, and she's worried they may pop up in other areas because they're not easy to get rid of.
We may have a hard time controlling this species with the chemicals that we are using.
9, 10. There's about 10 of them on the front porch.
Kailua resident Bob Kimura tells me he has to clean his yard daily over the last couple of weeks to get rid of the red millipedes. He's lived in this house for 20 years and he has never seen it this bad.
Not in this amount, or not in this much quantity and with that much persistence over a long, weeks.
What's making the problem worse is that they're getting inside the house.
It's a nuisance because it's crawling on the carpets and the floors, but I mean they don't hurt you, they don't bite you or anything. It's just a creepy feeling of seeing them crawling in your house.
Entomologist Darcy Oishi tells me millipedes live and breed underground, but recent rains might have caused the ground to become too wet, which forces them to come out.
They feed on decaying matter. That's their primary food source. If they're going into people's homes, it's probably, again, escaping the weather or the existing conditions outside.
The millipedes also secrete some type of acid as a defense mechanism, which can stain carpet and tiles. For some people, they can also be harmful if they're allergic.
It can be an irritant, certainly. Okay. It can make you itchy. I mean, you can certainly react to it and just wash up after it.
Well, the fire situation in the southeast just keeps getting worse. We've got a lot of fires that are going on right now, and as far as the larger ones, ones that are a couple hundred acres or more, we're talking close to 40 fires that are going on right now. This is an example of one of the ones that's been causing particularly bad issues. Lake Lure in North Carolina, that one's over 1,000 acres right now, and actually some of the smoke from that fire can be seen in Myrtle Beach. That's where you're looking at right here. That's Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, out on the coast. Those people walking around, I guarantee you, they are smelling smoke. We were smelling the smoke in Atlanta yesterday. This was absolutely nuts. All these fires going on, one in northern Georgia, even some in North Carolina. I'm telling you, when I walked outside, even this far away, like 100 miles away, it smelled like a bonfire outside. I mean, it's like it was right there. I mean, you could see the skyline of Atlanta. This was yesterday. Smoke abound. Now, the wind has been shifting a little bit. I don't think we're going to see as much smoke in Atlanta today, but man, they're still working hard on these fires, and there is not much rain in the forecast at all.
La Niña is the opposite of El Niño. It's the periodic cooling of the central Pacific Ocean that affects weather patterns around the globe. There's a 55% chance that it will stick around through the winter, which means drought will persist in Southern California regions in the southeast, and southern plains will experience dry conditions. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's Climate Prediction Center says it's anticipated to be a weak, short-lived event. 3/4 of California remain in drought, particularly Southern California and the Central Agricultural Belt.